Hey, what's up, people? What's going on? So today I'm with Daniel or Adakole, depending on where you come from, and we will be talking about a special scholarship, something I've never heard about before. But before we proceed, I'm going to let Daniel or Kole, as I like to call him, introduce himself briefly.
Okay. Mike, thanks for having me on the show today. My name is Adakole Daniel, of course, a Nigerian, and I've been living in Germany for the past 6 years. I came here for my master's 6 years ago, and afterward, I've been living and working here in the energy sector. And so Mike, I look forward to this discussion, and I hope it's really, really going to be enriching, and it's something your viewers will like. So let's go.
Yeah. So just to give both you and also the viewers a bit of recap, but what this is going to entail, we had a chat some time ago in Düsseldorf, and then it was really interesting how the discussion went. So first from the scholarship that you came with to Germany, to what you studied, and then we started talking about the energy sector. I took interest in the energy sector because I'm kind of facing a problem in that here in Germany, but that really opened my eyes to, a broader discussion that we could have. So what you can expect from this video today is the special scholarship that Daniel came to Germany with, what he studied in Germany. Renewable energy is going to tell us about that, and very importantly, his career within the energy sector in Germany and also insight into the energy in Nigeria. So stay tuned until the end of this video. Let's start with the scholarship. So what's the name of the scholarship, Daniel?
So my journey to Germany, basically, it's what you're asking for.
That's right.
The scholarship is it's called PTDF, which stands for Petroleum Technology Development Trust Fund. So it's a fund. It's like an agency in Nigeria that is responsible for training local manpower in the oil and gas sector. Of course, you have to be a Nigerian to benefit from this scholarship, and they train Nigerians in the area that there is a skill gap in the oil and gas sector.
Okay.
From craftsmanship to professionals in geology, in petroleum engineering, and I did renewable energy engineering because they also see this as the energy of the future. So it's even though what I studied has no direct link with oil and gas, since it's also something that every country is looking forward to in the future, so they added this to it
this is
well.
interesting because sometimes we have this perception about the leaders back home that they're not thinking about the future. Because I'm really surprised to hear that the whole renewable energy stuff is also part of this program. I would have expected a lot more focus on petroleum, oil and gas and stuff, but good to know that they are thinking about renewable energy.
I will tell you from my interaction so far with PTDF that they are really thinking into the future. But what you could question is how we put all the piece of puzzle together to benefit the common man on the streets. So there are different agencies that are doing their own best to make sure things move forward. But I think there should really be an umpire who collects what everyone is doing and try to fix it together so that in the end, the goal is achieved. So the skills are there, but how we use the skill is what could be questionable.
These agencies, are they like governmental agencies or private agencies?
No, it's a government agency, of course. So I think it's under the Ministry of Petroleum. And I like how it's a trust fund, like from the fund there, that they get a certain share of the profit of the oil and gas companies in Nigeria. And these funds they get, they are to use it to fill the skill gap in the same sector. So which is like, and the fund was actually set up by the Act of the Senate. So which means it's mandatory that all oil companies operating in Nigeria will have to give them a certain share of their profit. And in return, they use that profit to train local skills so that the oil and gas sector, which used to be, I don't know, maybe it is still hugely dominated by expatriates. We can have these guys going abroad to study, or those who are trained at home, because most of the people that PTDF train actually are trained in Nigeria. There is a local scholarship scheme. There are Center of Excellence in Nigerian universities that is sponsored by PTDF as well. So they train these skills at home so that we can gradually have local content, because the excuse that oil companies will always put is that, yes, we want to employ the locals, but they don't have the skill.
So now you train the locals.
So when you train the locals, then that excuse will no longer be there, that we are not bringing our own people into Nigeria to fill this space because there are no skills. So we have the skills.
With the right skills.
Exactly.
Great. Now let's go back to the scholarship. Tell us a bit about the scholarship, your own story precisely, how it worked out for you, how you heard about it, how you applied, and
So during my bachelor, I somewhat know that I will not do my master's in Nigeria. That at some point I will go abroad to do my master's.
Okay. Where did you study in Nigeria?
I did my bachelor in at the Federal University of Technology, Mina. It's in
Mina.
Niger. Yeah, it's in Niger State. So I somewhat knew that at some point I will do a master's, and this I will not do in Nigeria. And again, I also, to be honest with myself, knew that I will not be able to finance it personally.
But good. I mean, you know your options, right?
So knowing that, I have to start preparing for it, and preparing for it means I need to meet the minimum. This is not just talking about the minimum requirement. I really need to put in my best so that during the selection process, I come out at come on top of the.
It's so interesting. I don't know how I was studying back in Uni, but one time I stumbled on the type of scholarship to Malaysia and stuff. But you know how I stumbled on that? Because I went out with my uncle. He's a military officer based in Ilori. We were just having drinks with another military officer, and you know, in the BS, the discussion came up, and then they sent me to go to the department and meet so and so. And at the end of the day, they wanted to take someone who's like from Kwara State, but I was not really hearing all this scholarship stuff.
Man, cool. Maybe you were hanging out with the wrong guys at the university.
I swear, probably.
Let me not say something that will get me into trouble. Like the guys, my friends at the university then were basically on scholarship from either Shell, Chevron.
I had no idea, I swear.
ExxonMobil, MTN. And it became because when you hang around these guys and you see the kind of application they put out there, again, you know, before you apply to this scholarship for bachelor, there is a minimum requirement for what you have at your O level and JAMB as well. Okay. So I wasn't so fortunate with my WAEC. Okay. So which put me at an advantage in applying to those scholarship during my bachelor's. Yeah. Then I knew it like, hey, I did not know about this thing and did not take my life so much serious when I was in secondary school. But now that I know about it here now, I have to do what I have to do now for the next level. So I prepared for it. And I was fortunate it worked out for me. But those guys, they made a lot of money. Some of them were even taking more than one. But don't ask me who.
Are you crazy? Damn, I mean, you know, okay, people complain there's no money, blah, 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 but I just feel like it's more like information dissemination, you know, because if you still get the right information, you can still put one or two things together and chill with the big boys.
I will actually say, it's the information and again, depending on the kind of people you relate with, because some people just sit at the edge and say, it's man, no man. It's like, if you don't know anyone, you won't get this thing. But as I said, a lot of my guys got the scholarship without knowing anyone. I am here as well, PTDF. It's not, I'm not talking about the multinational oil companies in Nigeria. I'm talking about PTDF. It's a Nigerian government agency. And I got it without knowing anybody.
Come on,
so which means if you have the information, you make the necessary application and try to come on top of your class. Because again, one thing I should say is that how PTDF scholarship work is that for the overseas scholarship, they take 4 candidates from every state in Nigeria. Okay. But for the Niger Delta states, like the oil-rich region, they take 5 candidates per state. Okay. And 5 or 6, I'm no longer sure, 5 or 6. Then for every region, the lady that may not have made it from any of those states while making the 4 selection nationwide, or the selection from the oil-rich states, well, the lady with the highest points in those geopolitical region get taken. So in total, every year there are about at least 163 scholars, I believe, that are sponsored by PTDF. Now, if you're from Kogi State, for instance, they took 4 candidates. So no matter how smart you are, if you don't come out on top of the candidate from that state as one of the best 4, then you're definitely going to lose out. And when it happens, it's easy to just say, it's Nigeria that happens to you. But you have to imagine,
so competitive, man.
Yeah, you have to imagine the competition you're facing. Yeah. And if they have 4 candidates, there's nothing they can do to accommodate someone else. The same thing happens for, basically if you're not from oil-rich states, then it's 4. So you have to do anything you can do to make sure you're within that best 4 candidates from your states.
It's 5 or 6 or even 10, but then it's still quite competitive. I mean, how many millions of people are we talking about here?
It's quite competitive. And the application was basically free because then I bought the card for 1,000 naira.
There's a card to buy.
You buy like a scratch card that you use to make the application. So if it's 1,000, then you could imagine the number of people who participated. I did the aptitude test in Abuja, and
Okay.
yeah, after I took the test, I gave up and I went home. I did not even bother to check the list when it came out. Given the number, the number of people I saw at the test center, I kind of wrote myself off. And
yeah, let's just recap again and just go from how you heard about it and then how you apply. Just give us that full flow, you know. So someone who's like watching, who is still in the uni, can already start preparing themselves, you know. I mean, if the procedure, which I imagine would still be the same.
I think the procedure may have changed, but overall, you still have to come out very good for you to be eligible for the scholarship.
Okay.
Now, as to how I heard about the scholarship, I already knew about PTDF, as I said, during my bachelor.
Okay.
So I was doing my NYSC. I was basically waiting for the application time to come for me to put out my application. And and for those who may not have heard about it, I think the website is ptdf.gov.ng.
Yeah.
That, I think, it's the website of the scholarship board. So there you could get all the information you need when the next application will be open and all that. But I think the application is sometimes between April and June, or let's say between May and June annually. This is how they will hear about it now.
Okay.
Then after putting up your application, what I should talk of what is obtainable now, not what I did in my time. Okay. Now, there is no aptitude test, but in my time, we have to take a test, a qualifying test, but now you need to make a very good application, give a very convincing statement of purpose. Possibly, if you have done any research that has been published, then you can as well add it to it, because these are the criteria upon which the selection panel will decide who gets the scholarship or not. Okay. Yeah, and in the end, for those, it's not just for masters, there is also a PhD category. So yeah, for PhD, I know they attend an interview, but for the master, I'm not sure if they do interview or not. But if there is an interview, then you go there and meet like professors. Okay. There are guys who knows what it takes to succeed at a master's level. 100%. And when you appear before this guy, it's not something you can fake. So yeah, they have a way of knowing it. So yeah, then just go do your interview and do your best before you now say you hope for the best.
Right? I mean, do your best before you hope for the best. Come on. So ptdf.gov.ng. So that's where to go. And I think it just makes sense to think that when you go there, you get the most current information, right?
Yeah, you will get the up-to-date information. And again, one thing again I should tell you is that being a beneficiary of this scholarship, I could already tell you that financially is one of the best scholarship you could get to study anywhere around the world.
From Nigeria?
Not just from Nigeria, from anywhere. Yeah, because I've interacted with beneficiaries of other kind of scholarship. And before now, when you get PTDF scholarship, is like you're getting a blank pass to go to any university of your choice in the world. Actually,
so you select where you want to go study.
Yes, you only need to get the scholarship. Then you decide where you want to study.
That's something.
And PTDF actually recommend you take the top tier universities around the world,
like Harvard, Oxford, Stanford.
Yeah, so if you could get admission there, those guys are solidly behind you. And the stipends you get from there is also very, 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 very. I use that word.
Could you tell us about give us some ideas of the monthly stipends that you get as a student, just so we can understand the monetary value?
At the time, a lot of countries are adjusting cost for inflation now, so I don't know what they give now.
Okay.
But at the time was 2016.
Yeah.
They were paying around £1,080 per month.
£1,080 per month.
Yes. And then they cover your tuition 100%.
So tuition is already covered.
Yes.
And then there's that stipend that you get every month to cover all your living expenses and everything.
Yeah. The stipends was not paid every month. They actually paid semi-annually. So if you're studying in the UK, for instance, masters is for 1 year. So you the first
4 months.
When you go, you get the first 6 months together.
That's actually good. So they pay you upfront.
Yes.
You can start a business with the money.
You use it to study because you need to pay your house rent.
Yeah, 100%. But this is actually good because, I mean, I know of the Erasmus scholarship and all, but right now I think people are earning, this is 2022, 2023, they pay around $1,000.
Yeah, that's why I said, like, when you ask me if it's Nigeria-wise, and I said no, it's like global, it's really competitive. And for me, my scholarship was executed in Germany.
Okay.
Which was kind of a bit different from how it used to be.
Okay.
So in the past, when you get PTDF scholarship, Germany wasn't a popular destination.
Right.
So
Yeah.
people go to Canada, they go to the US, they go to, like, I'm not sure of this number, but I can
Okay.
say like 95% of them go to the UK because it's easier to get admission there. So in
Yeah,
my time,
true.
after everything worked out, I planned to study in Australia, but the SCOM was to resume in February, and our induction was, I believe, sometime in July.
Okay.
So because of that, I deferred, not just me, along about 13
Many
other
other guys.
candidates.
Okay.
And then there was a kind of discussion between DAAD, what was it in English? German Academic Exchange Service.
Yeah.
So contacted PTDF that they could get comparatively good education in Germany as compared to anywhere that the
business
scholars
development.
as compared to wherever the scholars go to. And yeah, it was a good idea. The PTDF saw it
That
was
was
a very
proactive
good
of
idea.
them,
And
quite unusual.
for me, looking back now, I will also say that PTDF made a good decision. But at the time, I wasn't happy. But looking backward now, I am happy. And then they took about 13 of us. So we were the first PTDF scholars who came to Germany to study, the 13 of us that came to this place. And getting admission in Germany, whosoever is studying in Germany know how slow it takes.
100%.
So it took us about 1 year. So even though we got the scholarship sometimes in April 2016,
Okay.
we started studying the October of the next year,
2017.
So
Okay. But you had to apply yourself to study in Germany.
yes, so we were selected, handed over to DAAD.
Okay.
And I think DAAD was trying to be careful. So they make us apply to the schools ourselves, get admission, and once we submit our admission letter to DAAD, they give us their award letter.
Okay.
And I think DAAD is still doing the same thing till now. So I think it's just them. I don't know why.
Okay. Then that's interesting. So now let's talk about what you studied in Germany and like also how you applied and how it worked out. So this is quite interesting because before now I never knew that DAAD was working in collaboration with other scholarship boards from other countries. I thought they are just sitting here in Germany and then if you apply to their scholarship you get it, then you get the funding and all. But they collaborate with other institutions or organizations outside of Germany. Why is that so? They want to get more scholars to Germany, they want to get more people. I mean, why wouldn't they just wait for people to apply to them, you get the scholarship and all? But they don't have enough funding for the people. I'm trying to understand.
So I will not be able to answer correctly.
Okay.
Yeah, but what I know is that there are certain scholarship from PTDF going to scholars in Nigeria, but it is very few. And it's mainly studies around environmental sciences and agriculture.
Okay.
So, but in the case of PTDF, it's like saying PTDF chooses what they want their scholars to study.
Yeah.
When you apply to DAAD, they tell you what you study. But in this case now, once PTDF agrees with your course of study, then they transfer you over to DAAD. DAAD more or less executes the scholarship. Mind you, DAAD is not the one paying us.
Exactly.
So
this is where I wanted to understand what exactly is the role of DAAD.
They are the one that oversees the scholarships, if I may put it that way.
Okay.
And I will tell you that there are a lot of benefits to it.
Yeah, let's hear them then.
Because there is an agreement between DAAD and PTDF.
Okay.
The way DAAD executes the scholarship, it's non-discriminatory whether your scholarship is sponsored by a third party or by them.
Okay.
Which basically means when you send them an email, you call, someone is always there to listen to you.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, but the guys who get directly sponsored by PTDF that travel to the UK, for instance, when you send an email, you could wait for 1 month before you hear from someone.
Yeah, maybe the server is down. It can happen.
You're trying to be politically correct, right?
I mean, there's PHCN and all the wahala, so you never know what's happening.
Okay.
Right?
Nigerians listening to us understand what we're talking about. When you resume, like you go to any of those places that the scholarship is not executed through a local scholarship agency like a DAAD.
Okay.
You might wait for 1 or 2 months to get your first installment. I told you they get this money in 6 months. So you might run into problem with your landlord.
And you need money.
You need money, so you start calling friends to give you what you need.
So yeah, DAAD is more like you can rely on them that everything is going to...
Like as you're coming in, they're giving you peace of mind.
Yeah.
They
So that means
they give you what you need.
You don't have any direct connection with PTDF anymore. So everything is like linked between you to DAAD and then DAAD to PTDF.
Exactly. So you get everything you want from DAAD, and occasionally they organize workshop, like intercultural workshop, how to live in Germany, and then we get invited to this workshop. And then there are also DAAD alumni, like in every city, where people organize meets, talk about what they are doing, talk about scholarship. Even if you have a project, even as an alumni, you can actually team up together with other alumni for a project and still even get supported financially.
Okay.
DAD will give you the resources to do that. So which basically means, for me, even though I got PTDF scholarship, but since my scholarship was through DAD, I am still considered a DAD alumni. So whether I'm here or I go back to Nigeria, anywhere I go to, I can still hang around with DAD scholars, and when there are scholarly projects that we want to do, we can still always call back to DAD.
And you're also a PTDF scholar as well and alumni.
Yes, but the PTDF scholar and alumni almost doesn't exist. But yes,
we can start one. But I think this is quite interesting to know. I still want to understand what is the benefit of DAAD partnering with PTDF. What it's in for DAAD. They want to increase the number of scholars, or I still want to... I mean, I can already imagine some benefits, like, okay, they're getting more scholars that they don't have to fund because the funding is coming from another body, so to speak. So they have more scholars under their portfolio, but they don't have to fund these scholars, so to speak, you know. This could be one benefit which I'm seeing, but I'm trying to understand what's the interest of, beyond this, maybe what's also the other interest of DAAD partnering with other organizations. I would imagine also that they work with other scholarship boards, not just PTDF, right?
Yes. So you asked me this question before, and I told you I may not have the correct answer to give you. But for number one is to look at the objective of DAAD. In English is German Academic Exchange Services. Which means they promote academic exchange between universities. So and in doing so, they get their funding from the states. There will always be limitation as to the kind of funds they get. So if there are foreign sponsors who could make resources available to them,
why not?
For them to bring in more people into this academic exchange brackets, then of course they will take it and use it.
Just help me, remind me, how did you get in contact with DAAD? So DAAD contacted PTDF at that time, and then were you directed by PTDF to go to DAAD, or how did you get in touch with DAAD and then connect to PTDF?
No, it was all done by PTDF. Actually, as I said earlier, that retrospectively now I appreciated what PTDF did. But at the time, not just me, like the other 13 guys that came here were not quite cold with it.
DAAD.
You have to look at coming from Nigeria to Germany to study. When you have a scholarship, as I said earlier, it's like winning an academic lottery. You could go anywhere to study. So we decided where we want to study. We were already preparing our mind to go there. There was a gentleman named Withhold. He did his PhD here in Germany. He's a professor, and I think he had a contact with DAAD, so he was the one that was able to facilitate this collaboration between DAAD and PTDF.
So that was the first time this collaboration happened?
Yes, that was the first time this collaboration happened, and when it worked out and they came to PTDF possibly check on their list that, there are some scholars who are still home. Let's make their scholarship specific. Like for the other guys, they could choose where they go.
I see.
But in our case, what happened was that when this agreement was signed, they now say, okay, for these guys, the 13 of them that are waiting, we use them for the pilot phase, and they all have to go to Germany. The language barrier was a big thing, and was what, if you have the choice of going to a country where English is the spoken language and you get all the resources, that money is not the case, then I don't think Germany becomes the first place you think about. So when this happened, it came to us as a shock. Then we have to go through all the process of getting admission into Germany. The the process is very time oriented. Like you just don't apply at any time, which was why it took even more than a year. Imagine from April to the
September
October of the next year. Coming here to study. So a lot of us resisted it, but for all the guys that came to this place, I don't know if there's any of them that is regretting it.
Yeah,
so it was a really good thing.